All right, good morning, traders. Thank you for being here. Today is May 21st, 2025. My name is John Carignan. I am a lead instructor here at the BYOB Trading Room. My SPY pivot this morning, 593. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. All of the Fab Five still in daily uptrends. IWM made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the hooking 17. SPY, QQQ, Diamond Dow, FNGB made inside days, closing over bullish traps or nearly over bullish traps over their 17 EMAs. SPY closed with 2-hour uptrend, 10-minute uptrend. Gold still in a daily downtrend. Gold made a higher low and a higher high, closing over a bullish cross over the 17. Silver starts a new uptrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing over a bullish trap over the 17 EMA. USO still in a downtrend, made a lower high and a lower low, closing over a bullish trap and over the 17 EMA. UNG also in a daily downtrend, made a higher high and a higher low, closing inside a bearish trap under the 17. US dollar index still in a downtrend. We love that. Closed near the 99.97 area. SPY max pain for today is 590. That's for the puts and calls that expire today, with a put to call ratio of about less than one put to each call that expires today at 4:15. All right, let's go take a look at some charts. Hey, good morning, Erasmo. All right, let's take a look at some charts, and here we go. All right, let's move this off of here. Okay, let's pick up SPY. Let's pick up the 10-minute chart. You can see the yellow 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA. All right, so that's a 10-minute uptrend coming into the close. All right, on the 2-hour chart, have a 2-hour uptrend. See the 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA. 2-hour uptrend coming into the close. On the daily chart, we've got 3 EMA up over the white 8 EMA. Daily uptrend coming into the close. You can see price action inside day. It's a lower high, higher low, closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. That's those green dots right through there. All right, let's take a look at the game plan. And here we are with the game plan for today. Okay, I like Friday options. All right, I like 2 DTE Friday options. I like 9 DTE Friday options. I like $5 to $15 out of the money. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. Also like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. All right, so if we happen to get a 10-minute uptrend over VWAP that's below the pivot, I still be interested in taking it. All right, so if we have a green erases red event, all right, over 593.80, SPY pivot 593. Red erases green event or entry, okay, underneath 590.45. That's all the way down here below this tail right here. So underneath 590.45, you can see we're already below that early this morning. Of course, that's below the pivot 593. Okay, got a rare opportunity. Okay, got SPYs in a 2-hour uptrend, also inside a daily uptrend, also inside of a monthly uptrend. We could almost say it's in a weekly uptrend, but the weekly hasn't made a higher high. And let's face it, the weekly's not moving down. It hasn't been recently. It's been moving up. All right, let's take a look at that weekly chart. And we'll head on over to back to the daily. You can see the daily right here, putting in higher lows and higher highs, closing up here in the bullish quadrant. That's up there in quadrant 4. That's bullish. Higher lows, higher highs. That's an uptrend. And you can see here's the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, and we're up over that all-time high anchored VWAP and up over this uptrend line. May get a pullback to this uptrend line. Won't be surprised if we do. And how much further lower is it? It's a big drop. It's about 570, 565, 575. So we could see a pullback to this area here, and maybe even to support. Got a little bit of support right here at 567. All right, so we could see a big drop. All right, just saying that, you know, and then before we move higher, we'll see what happens. So 2-day in an uptrend because they made higher highs. See the high over the 17? They made a higher high. All right, if we go to the 2-day chart, okay, we don't have a high over the 17 till we get to here. Okay, we still haven't made a higher high yet. So 2 days in a downtrend. 3-day, see, no high over the 17 till we get to here. All right, so 3 days still in a downtrend because it hasn't made a higher high. Okay, and the weekly, see the weekly's up here. Weekly hasn't made a higher high because that's the first candle over the 17 or the first peak over the 17. You can see we haven't made a higher high on that yet either. Okay, but on the daily chart, we have a high over the 17. We've made a higher high. On the monthly chart, okay, you can see right here. Let me back this off. Take this off. Okay, so on the monthly chart, you can see price action is still in an uptrend because we haven't made a lower low. The first low you come to under the 17 is right here, and we have not made a lower low, so we're still in a monthly uptrend. All right, so again, we've got that unique opportunity. So I'm very interested in playing 10-minute uptrends over VWAP inside this 2-hour uptrend. All right, we'll see what happens. I do expect a pullback. Whether it's coming today or tomorrow, I'm not sure. But I am expecting a pullback before we move higher. If we look over to the left, all right, on the daily chart, okay, you can see we're right up into the supply zone. So this would be the supply zone right through here. All of this is our supply zone. Okay, all of that is our supply zone right up there. We're right into this supply zone right now. So it will take us maybe a couple weeks to work through this. All right, so it's going to take us a little while. We're not just going to shoot through there in a 4-hour candle. Okay, it's going to take us a little while to grind this out. Probably put in a nice grinder box, maybe even extended, maybe even have a pullback. That would be normal, all right? Price continues, price moves up, pulls back and rests, all right? So price has been on fire recently, all right? I would expect it to kind of pull back and rest eventually, maybe find some support right here. Okay, got some possible support at 576. All right, that's a possibility for some support. And some more at about 565 area, right through there. All right, so that's a long way down from 592. That would be a big surprise. Okay, but the good thing is we pull back to support, and support holds us. We could see a higher high get developed. We'll see what happens. So there's SPY on the daily chart. I am expecting a pullback. Don't know when it's going to happen, but I would probably speculate on the 2-hour chart. If we peaked out 3 times, I would expect probably a pullback on the 2-hour chart after peaking out 2 times. We've got 2 peaks so far. I give it one more peak, and then I'd say look out below, probably coming for that 575 area. All right, so but they could, just hang out here all day and give us 4 peaks. Who knows? All right, but I would expect a pullback eventually. So look for that 3rd peak on that 2-hour chart for a possible pullback. So there's SPY. Let's take a look at QQQ. All right, on QQQ on the daily chart. All right, you can see we're up here in quadrant 4. That's bullish, up over the uptrend line, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP. All right, putting in an inside day, closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17. That's bullish up there. Okay, everything's looking good for SPY QQQ. Again, I'm expecting both of them to kind of give us a pullback, maybe to this trend line, maybe test some minor support right here, 492, maybe test this all-time high anchored VWAP, and then bounce off of that. All right, I don't know where it's going to go, but I would expect a pullback eventually before moving higher up through the supply zone. You can see here's our supply zone. Here is you can see we're into the supply zone here for QQQ, just like we are with SPY. All right, let's take a look at the game plan. Come on over here and pick this up on the 10-minute chart. QQQ game plan, QQQ pivot, 513.35. Above it, I'm a bull. Below it, I'm a bear. Red erases green underneath 517.75. Green erases red over 521. Again, I like 2 days till expiration options and 9 days till expiration Friday options. I like them $5 to $15 out of the money. I like 10 to 15. I like 15. I like 10-minute uptrends over VWAP. I like 10-minute downtrends under VWAP. So there's the QQQ game plan. All right, let's take a look at IWM. All right, take a look at that on the daily chart and pick it up over here. IWM putting in a higher low and a higher high yesterday, closing over a bullish trap, closing over the 17, still underneath this all-time high anchored VWAP, just neutral through here, but in an uptrend because they made a higher high. There's a high there, there's a low, see there's a low here, higher low, there's a high, higher high, so they're in an uptrend, but just neutral. Not quite as healthy as QQQ and SPY. So there's IWM on the daily chart. All right, let's take a look at Diamond Dow. Inside day, okay, same as QQQ and SPY, lower high, higher low. Closing over the bullish trap, over the rising 17, that's the green dots, over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's the pink line, over the downtrend line, okay, that's that diagonal yellow line. Up here in the upper third, that's bullish. Okay, making higher lows and higher highs. That's in an uptrend. Sorry, I'm still recovering. All right, so there's Diamond Dow, uptrend and bullish up there. Let's take a look at FNGB. All right, FNGB, you can see up here in the upper third, that's bullish. All right, price action inside day, just like the others. Okay, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Closing inside the bullish trap over the rising 17. See, the 17 goes from red dots to green dots right there. So over the rising 17 right there. Price action up here in the upper third, that's bullish. So there's FNGB in an uptrend, higher low and a higher high. See the high over the 17, they made a higher high, so they're in an uptrend. That's FNGB. Take a look at our technicals, T2122. For the most part, we spent the day in the overbought zone, and the bears got tired of us squatting there, so they kind of threw us out at the end of the day there on T2122. Still spending a whole lot of time up here, much more than I expected, in the buy zone, overbought zone. But I'll give it up to the bulls. That's great. That's really great. I mean, that's a whole lot of buying going on right there. Now, why did this get moved? This belongs down here at the 50. Right there. Okay. So nice work on T2122. T2123, you can see represented almost the same way as T2122. You can see buying from the beginning of the day, almost into the end of the day, and then you can see it looks like the bulls got a 6 martini lunch there, and then they ended up closing the doors at the end of the day. Okay, but look at this, we got a bullish gap. All right, that didn't get filled by the bears. That's a bullish environment. All right, so when I say there's a bullish environment, you got to kind of think about it. All right, it's a bullish environment. I would expect all right, when I see a bullish environment, my 10-minute uptrends to work, all right? And I would expect my 10-minute downtrends under VWAP to probably fail more often than my bullish uptrends, 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, okay? To succeed, all right? Because of that bullish environment, all right? So I wouldn't expect every 10-minute downtrend to work because we're in a bullish environment. So when I spell that out, I'm like, you kind of want to stick to those. For me, I want to focus on the 10-minute uptrends over VWAP, all right? Because those are going to have the better chance of working out because we're in a bullish environment, all right? So when I spell out, hey, this is bullish environment, all right, there's a good chance 10-minute uptrends are going to work out. That's what I'm trying to spell out here, okay? And if you'll notice and you look back, those 10-minute uptrends went far, whereas 10-minute downtrends did not. All right? So there's T2123 on the 15-minute chart. Okay, we got price action up over this hooking 200 SMA. Okay, we got price action moving up, holding the higher ground. Price action moving up with bullish gaps, not getting filled by the bears. Another bullish gap, not getting filled by the bears. Another bullish gap. Another bullish gap. Huge gap. You can put a freight train through there. Anyways, a lot of bullish gaps. A lot of bullish environment going on here. And that's T2123. Okay, we're almost up there. We're over the plateau. Okay, if we can consolidate on top of this plateau that we put in earlier, that would be, again, another bullish environment where you have consolidation over prior consolidation. Okay, so you'll have consolidation. Let's just say it consolidates up here. Okay, well, actually, let's start it this way. Okay, so that would be consolidation if it consolidated up there over this consolidation right through here and over this consolidation right through here. So when you have consolidation over prior consolidation, that is a bullish environment. I look for that, all right? I hope to see it when I have my rallies because that's what I'm looking for, all right? I like to see bullish gaps that don't get filled by the bears, all right? That's what I also look for in my uptrends, all right? Because I want there to be success to my 10-minute uptrends that I'm going to be trading, all right? So I need to see clues. I look for clues in the price action. One candle does not make price action. It's a series of candles, and what are they doing in relation to the other candles to the left, all right? That's what we're looking at, okay? One candle means one thing, that's great, but when you stick them together, they tell a story, all right? And they can pretty much help you decide which side of the market you want to be on. Okay, so there's T2123 15-minute chart. All right, you can see that's bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. Up over the 50, up over the 200, that's bullish. Consolidating over a prior consolidation way back here, that's bullish. All right, so everything looking good there on that one. Let's take a look at the 3-bar chart. 3 more green candle bars up over falling 200 SMA. Okay, that's bullish. Again, we made a higher high finally. All right, starting Friday last week. Finally made that higher high. That's bullish. So we now have an uptrend here in the 3-bar chart. And we're attacking prior all-time highs. So this is all looking good. The only thing we don't have yet is a daily uptrend. And in order to get that daily uptrend, we have to take out this high right here. Okay, that peak right up there. So we'll see how far we dig this out. Okay, right now everything's just kind of grinding up at a nice pace, a little bit faster than I expected. I'd kind of like to see it rest, maybe slow down a little bit. consolidate over this plateau. That would be nice. And then eventually move up and attack this daily hump right there so we can get this into a daily uptrend. Let's take a look at FNGB. Okay, look at price action moving up, holding the higher ground. Definitely a bullish environment. You know that this has 10 of the most heavily weighted stocks inside of QQQ and SPY. All right, so wherever these 10 move, when they move as a pack, SPY and QQQ are going to get jerked in that direction. All right, so you can see here's price action consolidating up at those highs. It could easily pull back, but it's consolidating up here. We're up over the 200 SMA. You can see in the pre-market we're not, but we're in the up over the 200 SMA right now. When we closed, you can see yesterday's price action, a little bit of red, a little bit of green, a little bit of red, okay? But all in all, still holding that higher ground up there, okay? Not filling any bearish gaps, all right? And we're not giving up the upper quadrants, all right? So if you were to take the quad lines and stick them in from this low, that's not what I wanted. Quad lines from that low. Okay, you can see here's the move up. That's just this move up here. Okay, notice where it is. It's in the upper third. All right, that is bullish up there. It's in the upper third. Okay, when they can hold price structure up there in the upper third, that is bullish. All right, so here you got that one. Now let's go back and take a look at this one right here. Okay, here's price action. Squeeze that in. Okay, here's the other move up. Okay, see, not quite as bullish as price moves up. Kind of fades, pulls back to the midpoint, but then regains that upper third. See that? Price moves up from this low to this high. Stays in the upper third for the most part. See that? In the upper third. Then kind of loses it a little bit. Comes back to the midpoint. But then recaptures that upper third before busting out a new high. Right there. See, that's the type of bullish environment we're looking for. This is looking really good. All right? Usually when you linger up here for a long time, all right, the next move is another leg higher. We'll see what happens. So that's FNGB looking fantastic. Up over this all-time high anchored VWAP. Love that. All right, let's take a look at a few sectors. We'll start off with XLE. All right, XLE still neutral. All right, because it's not in the lower third, so it's neutral. And they got themselves an uptrend because they got a higher low and a higher high. But notice they're still underneath the midpoint. Okay, they're in the neutral zone. All right, but they're still, underneath the midpoint. They're not that strong. All right, they're underneath downtrend line 1, downtrend line 2, and underneath this, I'm gonna call it a 12-month high anchored VWAP. I don't know if it's the all-time high. Let me just back out here. Yeah, it's all-time high is way up here. Okay, so it's not an all-time high. It's a 12-month high anchored VWAP right there. Okay, so still underneath that. So USO just having a tough time. All right, just having struggles trying to maintain higher ground. It's having a hard go of it. All right, it's XLE. All right, having a hard go of it right here. So there's price action there. Not too much. It's getting better than where it was in April. All right, but I don't have a whole lot of faith in XLE. All right, let's take a look at USO. All right, that would not be one of my favorites. That doesn't have enough strength for me to say XLE. I want to own some of you. All right. USO. Okay, this is our U.S. oil fund right here. Price action. You can see is in the lower third. That's bearish. See that? Hasn't made any higher highs yet. Okay, you see the high? They made a lower high, and then again another lower high, and then again another lower high, and then another lower high. You see what I'm saying? And we're making lower lows. Here's a low. Made a lower low. We made a higher low here. All right, but we still haven't made that higher high. All right, so price action for USO, downtrend in the lower third. That's bearish. We're underneath this 3-year high anchored VWAP. That's that post-COVID high. All right, so underneath that, still underneath the midpoint. So still bearish on USO, still in a downtrend. UNG. Okay, UNG, nice candle yesterday. Puts in a higher low and a higher high, closing inside a bearish trap, but still underneath the 17. No longer in the lower third, so it's neutral, but not in a still in a downtrend. Okay, so you can see here's the highs, keeps making lower highs. You can see here's a low, couple of lows here. We've made lower low, got another lower high. The bears could be inspired to make another lower low. We'll see. So this is not something I'd want to own either. Neither USO or UNG. Okay, just not looking bullish enough. I do like the higher lows on each of them, but until they make higher highs, that's not for me. I think there's better products to trade, all right, with much more strength in them than to try to mess around and hope and have a hope that this is going to make a higher high. I'd rather work with something with that's expressing bullish environment when I trade it. Okay, like FNGB, something inside of FNGB would be expressing bullish environment. So I'd rather trade something inside of that. All right, so there's UNG downtrend. And just neutral, closing over this 12-month high anchored VWAP. Of course, the bar's not set very high. Think about it. It's only 12 months ago. And look how low this anchored VWAP is. All right? It spends a lot of its time in the bearish lower third. All right? So nothing impressive going on here. We're not up over the midpoint. We're not up over the downtrend line. We've only made a higher low, and it's not much of a higher low, all right? And it just recently got made as a higher low, only because we gapped up yesterday, and we'll see if we get any follow-through. You can see that's it, all right? So it was looking like we were going to make a lower low earlier, so we'll see. Anyways, UNG, not bullish, all right? Just neutral. All right, and still in a downtrend. All right, let's take a look at precious metals, GLD. And I own some GLD for the BYOB Trading Room account. All right, so gold, all right, making a higher low and a higher high, closing over the all-time high anchored VWAP, closing over a bullish cross. See, that's the 3 crossing over the 8. Closing over the flat 17. Up here in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Still in a downtrend. It's just a label, but we're up here in quadrant 4. It's in a downtrend because they made a lower high and a lower low. So there's gold. Over the uptrend line, up in quadrant 4, that's bullish. Okay, silver. Silver makes a high here, so we start a new uptrend. They break the downtrend line, or they spike it anyways. We'll see if they get any follow-through. Excuse me. Price action up over this 6-month high anchored VWAP. Also doubles as a 12-year high anchored VWAP. Up here in quadrant 4, it's bullish. So we now have a new uptrend for silver. And we're up in quadrant 4, so that's bullish. And we're breaking the downtrend line. So things looking good for silver. As you can see, silver went up and held the higher ground. Okay, like to see it break out over this peak right here. All right? Be nice to see silver break through that peak right there. They could do that. They could get some, that would be nice. All right? Making a new high up there. maybe attack the 2024 highs and the 2025 highs. You can see they're almost two in the same right here. 2024 high, 2025 high. All right, we'll see if they get any follow through today. I would look for that. There's silver in a new uptrend and bullish up here in quadrant 4. Okay, let's take a look at SMH. In the upper third, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, that's bullish. Over the downtrend line, that's bullish, making higher lows and higher highs. That's an uptrend, holding the higher ground, also bullish. Closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17. All of that is bullish. Love this, holding that higher ground. That is a bullish environment. Nice bull flag there, SMH. XLK, same deal, but a little bit higher, okay? Notice SMH was not in quadrant 4, okay? So you got big brother to SMH, all right? It's going to be XLK. Notice XLK up here in quadrant 4, SMH, quadrant 3, upper third, all right? So nice hold up here in the higher ground. Again, closing, inside day closing, inside a bullish trap over the rising 17, up over this uptrend line, up over the all-time high anchored VWAP, in an uptrend, making higher lows right here and higher highs. Okay, so that's an uptrend and bullish all the way up here in the all-time highs. Okay, this is the all-time highs right here. They could be taking those out. After some consolidation, we could see a leg higher pop through there. We'll see. There's XLK. XLF. All right. Quadrant 4, that's bullish. Over inside the bullish trap, that's bullish. Over this rising 17, that's bullish. Over the all-time high anchored VWAP, also bullish. In an uptrend, higher low, higher high. So that's an uptrend. Also bullish right there, XLF. All right, let's take a look at IYT. IYT, well, they got up there. They were in the upper third. They didn't close there yesterday. All right. So, but I do like the idea that they're holding the higher ground, just like the other some of the other sectors. Definitely not XLE, but they are holding the higher ground up here on the transports. Closing inside a bullish trap over the rising 17 and over this all-time high anchored VWAP. Okay, so nice hold right there for the transports on IYT. So we got, right now, we've got transports bullish, holding that higher ground, all right, and in an uptrend. Got financials bullish and in an uptrend. Technology bullish and in an uptrend. SMH, that's semiconductors bullish and in an uptrend. All right, we got FNGB, that's our 10 heavyweights. That's 10 securities inside one ETN. All right, so there's all the big cap stocks, all right, bullish and in an uptrend. We've got the dollar falling. All right, we're just waiting on somebody to maybe finish negotiations with some foreign countries. Don't want to put any pressure on you, Mr. POTUS, but maybe if you could get some of that done, offer a little bit more certainty, and we could be seeing some new highs. All right, I'm just saying we're that close to getting some new highs. I do want to mention that. Okay, on price action. All right, price. Notice Wall Street did buy the dip. Okay, Wall Street usually likes a 2-for-1 for their risk reward. Okay, I'm just saying. Okay, 2-for-1 on that risk reward. So there's just one risk unit right there. All right, so here's the first reward unit. Stack that on top. Okay, that's just one reward unit. Brings us up to 670.41 or 660. Second reward unit would bring us all the way up to 764. That is a 2-for-1 Wall Street bought the dip risk reward. I'm not saying we're going to get there, all right? But I'm just saying the potential is out there to get there, okay? There's a slight possibility. And I want to mention one other thing. See that monthly chart? That's a huge tail. Okay? Sometimes what happens on the bottom happens on the top. All right? Just saying that don't be surprised if we find ourselves up at 670. All right? I'm just saying there's that possibility is on the table. Okay? It will surprise you and shock you how far they can go with this. All right? Which when you think that should be the top, they will go higher and higher. Whatever you do, don't get in front of this freight train. All right? Playing counter trend, not the best strategy. Okay? Not the best strategy. This is really bullish. Look at this daily chart. Okay? Okay, see the pitch, see the roof pitch of this move? See the roof pitch here. Okay? That was extremely fast. That was a snapback right there. Okay? Just want to have you prepared. I don't want you to lose money. That's all I'm trying to do. Okay? I want you to make money. Okay? I'm just saying that was extremely bullish. All right, let's go take a look at the economic calendar. All right, and let's start with the dollar. The dollar's in a downtrend, making higher lows. See, there's a high. We made a lower high, and there's a low. We made a lower low. Lower high, lower low. Lower high, lower low. Lower high, will we make another lower low? We'll see. We're underneath major. We broke through major support right here. So that makes this minor resistance. All right, and you can see we smacked some minor resistance and we got rejected. So maybe some more downside here on the US dollar. We like that because anytime our goods and services are cheaper, all right, for foreign countries to buy, it means we'll probably sell more, all right? That helps us out, having a weak dollar to sell to foreign countries. Okay, not just to the people in the USA, but to all around the world. All right, having a nice conversion rate for our dollar helps us sell those goods and services overseas, and that brings money home to the motherland. You know what I'm saying? Okay, so there it is, dollar in a downtrend. That's why we like that. Okay, all in all, no one wants a weak dollar. Okay, but when it comes to business, you want to sell your product. I mean, that's the whole reason you're in business, is so you can sell your product. So we like a weak dollar because it provides a favorable conversion rate. Okay, let's take a look. Enough about that. Okay, SPY max pain for today, 590. All right, and it looks like we're pretty close to where it is now. Put to call ratio, just under one put to each call that expires today for SPY. On the economic calendar, so really light week this week. What do we got this morning? NBA mortgage applications at 7. Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations, 10 o'clock. I'm not worried about that one. Petroleum report, 10:30. Everything else kind of light for the day. Tomorrow, jobless claims, 8:30. Not really worried about that. Chicago Fed National Activity Index, 8:30. PMI composite flash, 9:45. Existing home sales at 10. Natural gas report at 10:30. And that's it, okay? For Friday, what do we got? Northwest Arkansas Fireside Chat, 9:35. Never heard of that before. That's got to be a new one. I've never heard of that. Not saying it, they don't do it all the time, but I've never seen it on the economic calendar in a long. I don't think I've ever seen it. New home sales at 10. Fed speaker, rig count at 1. And Mr. Powell's going to speak on Sunday. Maybe we got some news for negotiations. We'll see. So Mr. Powell's going to speak on Sunday the 25th. All right, so that's it. Really light week. All right, so wherever the bulls want to take it, there's no cloudy skies. The ceiling is there's no ceiling today. Okay, they can take it as high as wherever they want to go. All right, so there's the economic calendar. Earnings. Okay, the big one for earnings was Home Depot, and they already reported yesterday, and I just want to see where they are. Okay, Home Depot. They went up, and then they went down, and I just want to see where they finished for the day. Okay, so there's Home Depot. They went up. Actually, they gapped up, and they traded down right there. So they're in the same spot they left the day before the earnings. That's not a bad position right there in that bull flag. I don't like the idea that it looks like a failed breakout, though. All right, I don't like that, but that's not bad at all. So there's Home Depot on the earnings right there. They were the big one this week. Was Home Depot. For today, what do we got for today? Okay, we got TJX companies, 148 billion. They're going to report this morning. Lowe's, 131. More retail like Home Depot. Lowe's going to report 131 billion. Full Truck Alliance, 129 billion. They're going to report this morning. Medtronic, 110 billion. They're going to report this morning. Snowflake was actually in. I don't know if they still are in the FNGB. All right. 81 billion. They're going to report tonight. Okay. Again, some familiar names. Zoom. You've seen them. All right. Baidu. All right. Is that Baidu? Yeah, Baidu. Okay. But nothing that's really going to move the markets. All right. Not like Microsoft, Meta, Google, one of those big cap companies like that. Okay. So a lot of retail. TJX, Lowe's, Medtronic, that'd be healthcare. All right, so for tomorrow, all right, 184 billion tomorrow night. Okay, Intuit, Toronto Dominion Bank, 113 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning. Analog Devices, 112 billion. They're going to report tomorrow morning with the bank. Again, more familiar names: Autodesk, all right, Copart, Ross Stores. Okay, nothing that's really going to move the markets. Okay, probably have some effect on the retail sector. Friday, what do we got? Still looking for the P&L, Coca-Cola Euro Pacific. Okay, we got Booz Allen Hamilton. Again, these are all familiar names, maybe not so familiar. All right, so obviously not going to move the markets. That's it. All right, that's it for me for today. All right, starting to lose my voice again. This is not good. All right, I'll take questions in the room. If not, I'll see you guys in about 35-40 minutes. Now we'll render my video. Thank you for hanging out with me today. All right, we'll see you in 45 minutes, and we'll get this market open, see if we can make some money again, just like we did yesterday. All right.